Did you know that Trinidad and Tobago was the birthplace of the steel pan, the limbo, and musical styles such as calypso? We'll discuss this and other interesting facts about Trinidad and Tobago with speaker, podcaster, and PR and communications consultant Corine La Font on this episode of The Curious Professor. Hi everyone, I'm Dr. B. Welcome to the Curious Professor podcast, where I take listeners on a journey of discovery to explore the people, places, artifacts, and natural wonders that spark my curiosity. On this episode of the Curious Professor podcast, we'll explore life in the Caribbean with speaker and podcaster Corine La Font. But first, a trivia question. What was the original name for Trinidad in the Arawaks language? I'll have the answer for you at the end of this episode. I'm thrilled to have Corine La Font on the show today. Corine has been a PR practitioner for the past 10 years. While living in Jamaica for 21 years, she established herself being a columnist with the Jamaica Gleaner, a daily national newspaper, as well as offering professional services in publishing and digital marketing for clients globally. Upon her return to Trinidad in 2017, she registered her business, La Font and Associates, a PR and communications consultancy, to address the needs of communication strategy and crisis management, content creation, and publication, as well as digital media marketing and strategy. She is the podcast host of Between the Lines, which airs on YouTube. When I learned about Corine's fascinating background, my curiosity was immediately piqued and I wanted to learn more. I hope this interview with Corine will spark your curiosity too. Welcome to the show, Corine. It's great to have you here.
Oh, thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
What's the most important thing I should know about you?
There are lots of most important things to know about me. There are lots of most important things. There isn't one. My response to that question is, and this might seem philosophical because that's just how I am, but the most important thing will depend on the type of relationship we have, because each relationship will take away an important thing or things to them. So I can't answer that and tell you this is what's important that you should know. That will depend on the relationship and the bond. I mean, we recently got to know each other, but over time, as you get to know me and I get to know you, I will have something that I will say, this stands out, or this is important for me to know about Karen. And you would be able to say, this is something that, that's important for me to know. So with each relationship, there will be a discovery or discoveries that would allow each person to identify probably one thing that stands out. I think that's really what you're probably asking. What's the one thing that stands out? Because importance gives it a different spin. But is that one thing that, that stands out that you will remember? Or when you think of Corine or when you think of Karen, what's that one thing? So it depends on the type of relationship, really. The relationship determines that. Now, if it happens not to be a good one, I don't like to see things as good or bad, then of course you may have something negative to say. So this is why it depends on the type of relationship. And that's a very good question, actually, Karen. That's a really good question.
So do you feel like as you get to know somebody, it's like peeling away at an onion?
Of course. There are many, many layers. And actually there is not even an onion. Sometimes you might discover an orange underneath that. You might think it's an onion you're dealing with, and then you realize, oops, it's an orange. The skin is tougher than you thought. Or it may be an egg that from the touch it cracks. You just don't know what you will discover. A lot of people think it's layers. Yes, it's layers, but you don't know what you will find underneath those layers.
You live in Trinidad. What do you love most about it?
We are, and I generalize, it may not be for everyone, but we are known, from what I've heard, to be very laid back. Yeah, we are laid back set of people. We just roll with the punches. We are known for a phrase called liming. Liming is spelled, some people spell it with L-Y-M-I-N-G or L-I-M-I-N-G. But it's really just getting together in groups and hanging out and just having fun. I don't know, different countries and cities and places and cultures will have their different terms for it, but we call it liming, hanging, just having fun, relaxing. Once there's food and drink, we're good. I mean, the world could be coming to an end. I mean, once it's happening around us and we have food and drink, we're good. An earthquake could take place and split the earth in 2 or 4 pieces. Hey, once there's food and drink, we're good.
I like that. I like that attitude.
Yeah, we just roll with it. We roll with it. And nothing really stops us in the sense of if there's something that we want to do, we will just do it. We enjoy life. I think Caribbean people generally enjoy life, but Trinidadians take it to a different level. We just like, yeah, we're here to have fun.
And you lived in Jamaica for 21 years. What
I
did you
did.
like about Jamaica?
Jamaica is high vibes, very intense. It's an intense form of living. Everything is extra, an extra personality, extra vibes, extra, just extra. They're extra in everything. If something is to be 10, they will take it to 20 to 100. They can do something better than. Don't tell them that they can't. It's like, excuse me, what did you just say? Okay, I will show you. Their dress is extra. The way they dress is extra. Their vocality is extra. They'll be louder than everyone else. In a room, in a stadium, you will know the Jamaicans. if you are in a crowd, you just will know them by the way they dress. Their whole body language is extra. They're just extra, and this is not meant to be in a negative way. This is just a way of identifying them. And I mean, anybody who knows or have lived or has been involved with a Jamaican would obviously agree with me. I'm not telling a lie, and I've lived there. And besides living there for 21 years, I lived with them even in Trinidad as a student on the campus here. So we mix with a lot of Caribbean nationals, the entire Caribbean actually, and even people from overseas, outside of the Caribbean. So I live with them. So I got to know them even before I migrated to Jamaica. And that really, I mean, I was used to them from before, just living with them, but being in their country really gave me a deeper insight into who they are. And there's much more to them than that too. They're very resilient set of people. Like I said, don't tell them that they can't. It's just a thing with them. I don't know. I think it came from history. The historically, this is what they're just built like that. And they're very determined. If they have to accomplish something, they will accomplish it. They set their mind to something, it will get done.
And you worked as a newspaper columnist. Tell us
I did.
about that profession.
Oh, lovely, lovely opportunity. People have asked me, how did I get that opportunity? I remember doing a training for writers, and they asked me how I got that opportunity because I was also paid to do it. Not a lot necessarily, but I was paid to do it. And I had a contract. And many people are trying to get into the newspaper to write. And I guess this is common all over the world. People are trying to get the opportunity to get into a major newspaper to write. And I just wrote them, and I don't even think it took a week, if so much. Within the first week, I got a response. A few days, I got a response. And they asked me how. And I've always advised persons I'm also in publishing as well. I've always advised persons that you have to build up social proof in anything that you're doing, especially in the digital space. And people are more in the digital space now more than before. You have to have the digital proof. You just can't wake up one morning and decide, oh, I'm going to write for the newspaper and approach them. You could do that, you can do that. There's nothing wrong with doing that. But they're going to ask you what sort of work you have done. Send us a demo if it's something for TV or radio, like how we're doing. Send us a demo. And I had all of that. I had demos because I'm a podcaster for many years. I've had written work done before, so I was able to show them. So it wasn't difficult. It wasn't difficult. And I guess they liked my work. And also you have to kind of scan out the newspapers. I wanted to be in a major newspaper. And of course, the Jamaica Gleaner is the national newspaper of Jamaica. And you have to look through the newspaper too to see if what you're bringing is going to add value to the table. If persons are already writing for the newspaper in that regard. It makes no sense trying to even, I shouldn't even say it makes no sense. You can try. I always encourage people to try. You just don't know what can happen for you. Always put it out there. And if one doesn't accept, then try another. But you need to check it out. And there was nobody else really. I mean, they had probably other things, but there was nobody else bringing that type of content like what I was doing. And of course, you have to sell yourself, what's the value you plan to add to your newspaper, because you have to remember everything you do is about business, even though it might be a sort of hobby or something you want to do or enjoy, and you might make a little money from it or a lot of money. You are being exposed, you are exposing the newspaper, you're leveraging the newspaper and or any platform that you're going for. And you have to consider the target audience. And of course, the newspaper is in the environment, the business of making money. And so it is to attract the right set of people to be able to read. And so they want to make sure that they have the kind of content that would attract people. And my articles actually attracted a lot of people because the newspaper is not only print, physical hard print, but it's also digital. So people from all over the diaspora, London, Canada, where you would find Jamaicans or even Caribbean people who would read the newspaper, have access to it. So it opened me to a worldwide audience. And people are still to this day, Karen, still to this day, still reaching out to me, even though I'm not writing for the newspaper, which I should still be. Let me just make a point. I should still be, but there was a change in management and I don't know what happened. And all sorts of different things started happening. And I'm no longer writing for them, not on my own free will. It was no choice of mine. It just worked out that way. But people are still reaching me because my articles are impacting them and asking me, for whether it is advice or to even be a client or to help them to get their books published, etc., etc. So when you're going forward with something, and as I'm talking to you about it, a lot of tips and points come to my mind. When you're doing something, you have to consider it's a seed you're planting. And you don't know where that seed could offshoot and what it could bring to you that you never thought about probably at the time. But you have to think. You have to think 5-10 years ahead. When I did it, I wanted this to happen. I wanted the visibility. The bonus for me was getting paid. I didn't approach the newspaper necessarily to be paid. I was like, okay, if they want to pay me, fine. My thing was getting my name out there, the visibility, reaching the audience, letting people know about me and my work, the services that I offer. That's really what I wanted. And for people to respect the work, see me as an expert in the field and reach out to me. So the money was a bonus. And like I said, it wasn't a lot, but it came in handy, and I'm thankful for the opportunity that now I have. I mean, I'm a published author in terms of books, etc. But now I have published articles online that, that says a lot as well, so.
Yeah. So in addition to it enhancing your credibility, you also were able to impact such a wide audience, which is really, as a writer, the ultimate gift that you can give to others.
That's right. That's right. A lot of people, when they become an author, they think, oh, I want to become rich. I want to live off the book, take care of me. That is a lovely idea. I say yes, and I encourage persons to go for it. If it happens, it happens, but you must think, immediately, this is the kind of thing. And those, getting that sort of credibility, like J.K. Rowling and all those other people who have got movies and stuff out of this thing and best-selling and international bestseller, that's great. I see those things as an added bonus. It's good to have those dreams. I don't stop anybody from doing that. It may not necessarily be mine, but my thing is impacting one life at a time or impacting lives at a time, and for people to always remember me and say, I know you. I remember even when I was living in Jamaica, making a call one day, I was trying to find out something. And I picked up the phone and made a call, not necessarily concerning the newspaper. It was just a personal thing. I was just checking around. So I picked up the phone, called this number. And this person said, when I said my name, I said, I'm Corine La Font. I'm just checking into X, Y, and Z and just wanted to get some information. And from the time I said my name, the person was like, what? This is Corine La Font. I'm like, yeah. I started, I was like, Yeah, what? And she remembered my name, from in the newspaper. And she's like, oh my God, I read your articles and I just love your articles. And I was like, okay, thanks. No, I don't have a picture on the articles that I write, but my name, and then my name is unique. People say it stands out. And so she remembered the name, and some people were clipping all these articles, keeping them in a folder. They were following me. I was like, wow, this thing is frightening. So you have to also keep in mind, that when you start going out there, you are actually making an impact on people's lives, whether you know it or not. And this is why it is incredibly important to, I want to say, live on the straight and narrow, because once you're out in the public eye, people are going to be watching you. They are going to be following. I have no idea. I'm here sitting with you, Karen, and right now there may be people reading me, Googling me, checking out my social media. There are people. Just before I came on, my phone notified me that 113 people were checking my LinkedIn profile. 113. I'm like, I don't know who these people are because I'm not a premium member to be able to track. I just leave it alone because that kind of curiosity doesn't bother me. But that is just to give you an idea that even though you and I are here talking, people are watching, listening, following, tracking, searching you out. I don't know. And so I have to be very careful. So once you go into the public space, you cannot say to yourself, oh, I could say this or say that. You have to be very, very, or do this or do that, or dress this way or dress like. You have to, and I'm not saying I'm perfect. I just try to be very aware and conscious as much as possible while still being authentic, still being me without, I'm not living a false life. I'm not changing myself to suit anybody. This is me. But I'm not going to be, I've never dressed very provocative and have myself out there so people can say, oh, that's Corine. Oh, I never thought she'd, or be seen in particular places doing particular things. I'm not like that. So I'm not going to be like that now. But if you know you're like that, I would suggest that if you're going into a particular space that people are going to start checking you, then be careful what you're doing. Think about it before you delve into that space, because once you start, you're putting yourself out there.
You mentioned your podcast called Between the Lines. Tell us about your show.
Oh, I love it. You have been on it, haven't you?
Yes.
You should be able to tell them about it. I should leave you. Let me ask you that question. What do you think about it?
I love being a guest on your show. It was such an honor for you to interview me, and you have such a great way about you. You're so easy to talk to, and you're a great listener, and the conversation flowed extremely naturally. So you're very fortunate that you have such terrific guests that you can interview.
Thank you so much. So you see, you answer the question. I don't answer those questions. I leave it to my guests to say it. I don't. You tell me your experience. I just go along with what you guys say.
Have you ever interviewed someone who completely surprised you?
It depends on the surprise. No, I'm not surprised by anything, really. I am always prepared for anything. And I wouldn't really say prepared. I'm just open to anything that people have to discuss. It's more open than being prepared, because I don't know what we will come up with. I don't send set questions to my guests. We talk and flow like what we're doing now. And as things come up, we discuss. So it's not a matter of preparedness. It's more being open. And we have very professional, adult, mature conversations. And I stress on that because I've never argued with anybody on my show. And this is why I say mature and adult conversations. The topics vary from all sorts of things, as you would know: spirituality, relationships, all sorts of things. Landing on the moon, I've done as well. All sorts of things that I don't even know about that I learned. But I'm open. And that's the thing. I'm an open interviewer. I'm an open podcaster that wants to learn. I do the show, for a lot of reasons, and I grow as a result. I develop. It helps me to do a lot of introspection and self-examination, to see the type of person that I am right here in this moment and the person that I want to become. And I say, I ask myself a number of questions like, how do you feel about this particular thing, Corine? Did this trigger you? Or could you make that decision if put in that situation? I ask myself a lot of different questions depending on the topic. And it's not a matter of the person, it's more the topic, and it opens me to a number of all sorts of different areas, which helps me to become a better person and to look even at the person side now, to look at people with an open mind, that the decisions that they had to take, I may not have made those decisions, but you have to put yourself in people's shoes. There are times I've cried on my show based on the situation because some of the stories are really compelling. Loss of life, loss of children, and I'm a mother, a parent, and a lot of abuse, toxicity, a lot of that. These things make me very, very sensitive, and I try to hold it together. But as you could see on my show, I keep it very raw. I don't even edit my show. I like it to be raw. I don't edit anything because life is raw. Life is not edited. And I coach people into starting their own podcast. And my belief, and from my experience in the many years of doing a podcast, is to be as authentic as you can. Now, if you as a new podcaster want to have all these other things flying and flashy, and that's fine, you can do that if you want. But people want authenticity. And I want, when persons are looking to start their podcast, especially with me coaching them into it, that they don't say to themselves, I can't do that. Just like writing a book. There are many authors that have said to me, I can't write. Nobody wants to hear what I have to say. I have nothing to say. And I'm like, please, everybody has a story. And they don't believe until they start writing and, belting it out themselves. And they end up with how many pages of a book or whatever it is. And I want people to see that it's believable. It's very doable. And there's nothing special about Karen that, Sandra or John can do it. All of us have a story, Same thing with a podcast, So I like to keep mine raw, unedited, leave it as it is. I have some little embellishments like my intro and outros and, my way of starting and ending my show and interviewing my guests, which, as I said, is just me naturally. So, yeah.
Yeah, being a podcaster is such a special thing, and it's such a gift, and I find it so fascinating. And I feel so fortunate that I have had the opportunity to meet and interview so many fascinating people, and I've learned so much.
Yeah, it's a wonderful opportunity. I have grown over the years. I've used different platforms. It allowed me to check this one, test this one, do this. And I'm still always testing. I'm always evaluating my show. I'm always doing things to improve. It is never stagnant, never stagnant. I'm always testing things. Some things work, some things don't work, some things are sustainable, but that's what life is. While you're living and breathing, you have to constantly be doing assessments and seeing what appeals to the audience, what doesn't, until you find that thing. And there are many other podcasters who are doing stuff, who are very good at what they do. Whatever they're doing, great. They may even have a team to help them, a whole staff and all of that, engineering, this and that. And that came over time, over time and over years, and they can make the necessary investment. But if anybody has a podcast or they want to start one, you don't need all of that. Just be you. That's all people want. They want the true you.
I want to make sure that people know that you work as a PR and communications consultant. So tell us a little bit about that.
I love PR. Oh my God, it's in my blood, I'm sure. It was just recently I realized that life took me up down a particular path. I wasn't aware at the time while I was on that path, but I realized from my writing to joining with the Gleaner and speaking and doing virtual events from way back as 2010 or even before that. And, all these things, speaking, being with Toastmasters International, and all of these things just led me, becoming an author, has led me to pulling all of that together into PR, because that's what PR is about, branding. And I've done protocol and etiquette, and I love that. I have a standard, a way of doing things, a way of carrying myself. And it's just, there are certain occupations and career paths that just fits you after a while. And it's like, I don't know if it happens to other people, but you just end up going a particular way without you even probably consciously aware that this is what you're doing. You just get opportunities or things just happen. And you're like, okay, I'll do that, whether it's volunteer work or paid work, or you just find yourself going towards a particular thing, trying it, liking it. And so everything culminated in PR, and I'm extremely good at it. I'm extremely good at negotiations, contracts, image, branding, dealing with crisis. And it takes maturity and experience to really deal with that. It's not that I can deal with every and anything that comes to me. It comes just like parenting. When your child is small, you deal with things as it comes. But as a mother, I don't know about a father, but as a mother, you just know what to do. You just know what to do, and you have to be able to multitask. So being a parent also helps me with PR, because your hands are involved in so many different things. It's like an octopus. You're in so many different things all at the same time, and still keeping it together and still keeping calm and managing people. And it's like being a mother and making sure a bad name don't go there, a bad rep, and you keep your children in line. And it's like being a mother. That just came to me a while ago, Karen. So it's like being a mother. So it's natural to me.
And is there anything else you'd like to tell us about you or your work?
Well, I would invite persons to reach out to me on my website, which is lafontandassociates.com. It's pretty simple. It's my last name, LAF as in father, ONT, AND associates.com. Once you get there, you will reach me. All my social media handles are there. I am actually available and open to clients. So if persons want to reach out to me, I have packages there on my website. My podcast, I'm always welcoming guests. Once you go to my website, everything is set up there. And I'm actually setting up to do some personal tutoring for adults and students. This is outside of my coaching as well, but personal tutoring in terms of education-wise, school stuff to help persons. So if they are interested, they can look out for that or reach out to me at my email, which is YOURFAV, which is short for favorite. So YOURFAV, radiohost.com. But once you go to my website, there is a contact us page there. You just reach out to me or simply just Google me, Corine La Font, and you will see the results and just find me. I'm not hard to find. Of course, go to Karen. Karen has all my information and she's going to put you on to me.
Yes, all of your information will be in the show notes so people will be able to contact you.
Yeah.
It was great to have you on the show, Corine. Thank you so much for taking time to be a guest on the Curious Professor podcast.
Thank you so much.
And now for the answer to this episode's trivia question. What was the original name for Trinidad in the Arawaks language? The original name for Trinidad was Yerde, which meant land of the hummingbird. We'll end the show with something punny. What do you call glass cookware from Jamaica? Pyrex of the Caribbean. Thank you for joining me for this episode of the Curious Professor podcast. If there's a person, place, artifact, or natural wonder that has sparked your curiosity and you'd like for me to feature it on the show, please let me know. My website is thecuriousprofessorpodcast.com. If you enjoyed the show, be sure to subscribe to the Curious Professor podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you'd like to become part of my community of curiosity seekers, be sure to visit my website, thecuriousprofessorpodcast.com, and join Dr. B's Hive. Until next time, always be learning and be curious with Dr. B.